Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jaredcast.
So it begins.
Hello, people. Welcome to a merry episode of the Jaredcast. We've got tired, excited morning energy for you, just like it's Christmas, because we care about our product and you're welcome. I'm one of your hosts, Jared. With me, as per usual, a mason jar coffee chugging Jared. How are you doing?
I'm good. You caught me right in the middle of a sip.
Hold for gulp.
Yeah, man. I'm good. This is our earliest recording time, I think, ever.
Yeah, except for maybe like the first one. But
the first one was, I think, 8 a.m., right? That was also,
I think so. But yeah, we're just trying to get the Christmas morning vibes, you know. That's what it's all about, the immersion here at the Jaredcast. And that's because we're talking Christmas movies. We've got two modern Christmas classics for you. We've got Klaus. Klaus is in the house, and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Just a banger of a sequel, let's be honest. I'm real excited. But before we get into it, we've got a very personal top 5. What do we got, Jared?
We got top 5 Christmas traditions, not in movies, but in our own lives. Yeah. Jared and I
get to know us a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Jared and I both come from like worlds that are like have equal amount of similarities and differences, and so I'm excited to hear his top 5. Should I start or should you start?
Why don't you kick us off? I've been talking a lot already.
Cool. So for as far as like top 5 Christmas Day traditions, there aren't a whole lot because we like to mix it up a lot every year. But there are a few that are pretty consistent, just in the season generally. And the first being that it's most of the time it's just the immediate family. It's just my mom, my dad, and my brother. If there's a grandma here, she just kind of does her own thing with her friends from church, and that's totally fine.
Nice.
And yeah, like it just makes it a little more fun, a little less stressful because it's the 4 of us and we actually like each other a little bit. and I like that.
Nice. That is awesome. On a different note, I've got my number 5. I was struggling to think of 5. I tried to keep it mostly Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And so my number 5 is a long-standing family tradition of alcoholism. We always drink too much. It's usually a pretty boozed up holiday for the Lombardos. And so
I can imagine.
Yeah. And so that's my number 5. It's a good time.
You must have learned it from somewhere.
Yeah. That shit runs deep in the blood of the Lombardos. We were born with a not able to drive ABV.
Damn. Oh. All right. I don't think any of my stuff can top that.
That's just number 5, baby. We're getting started.
Number 4, sometimes it's on Christmas Day, sometimes it's the day after or the day before, or a couple days after. But we like to do at least one day trip.
Mm.
So sometimes we go to different places in California. Sometimes we go to Vegas. Sometimes we go to one time we did a really awesome like winter trip where it was like Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and then back to New Mexico, back to Arizona, back to California. And that was probably the best
That's
one.
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, we like to get out of the house a little bit just to see what Christmas is like in other cities.
Hell yeah. I respect that. That's dope. My number 4 is a weird one too. we're keeping up the strangeness.
Nice.
This is a dead tradition. I am
okay.
no longer participating in this tradition. But it went like 7 years strong as a wee child. So picture child Jared, not adult Jared, when you hear about this little tale.
Okay.
On Christmas Eve, we would oft take family photos, as white families tend to do. It's a Caucasian occasion for us. And then after, for some reason, I don't know why, I would always put the stockings that we hung up on my feet. I would take the Christmas tree skirt off of the Christmas tree and wrap it around, put on an ugly sweater, and I would just run around like a child does. I would just be zooming around the house.
That's great.
I called myself the Christmas child, and so number 4 is a child of Christmas.
Dude, that's awesome. It's so good.
I'd just be scampering. You know how kids run? They just are all arms.
Yeah. What was the design on the tree skirt?
It was a dark red with, I think, some like either just generic leaves or like kind of tinsel mistletoe type leaves.
Okay.
I had some nice silver and gold thin embroidery on it. Just a real class act all around.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Cool. For my number 3, it leans into that theme of variety. Because there's a lot of great Christmas movies out there. There's a lot of them are very rewatchable. A lot of them are very but some of them get kind of stale after like the second or third time.
Yeah.
The majority of them, let's be honest.
True.
But so the way we like to do it is we take our favorites and we just do a different one every year. And that way, like, I'll never really get sick of Elf because it's 10 years since I've seen it. Even though I saw it like 20 times before that we stopped watching it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to the next time I see Elf. And then like, with something like It's a Wonderful Life, like sometimes we'll, I think I've seen that one 5 times, or 6 maybe. But yeah, it's been 5 years since I've seen that. I think the last one we did was Jingle All the Way, and that was our first time seeing that one. So I have no idea what we're gonna do for this Christmas. But yeah, different movie.
Nice. That's awesome. My family's the opposite. My dad always lobbies for Christmas Vacation. My sister always wants Elf, and then we watch one other variety movie, but it's always those two every year at some point.
Oh my god.
So I'm jealous. Number 3, we talked about the excitement of Christmas morning, and now we're diving into it. I don't know if your family does this or if it's just my family, but when the kids wake up early and parents want to sleep in, the way they divided us so I wouldn't wake them up immediately to open presents was I get to open this stocking before my parents wake up on Christmas. And it's just a lot of fun to just go through the stocking and kind of eat some candy that they put in there and just play with some toys. It's just a good, wholesome time. And so it was smart on my parents' side to keep me busy so they could sleep in. But yeah, number 3, open it up stocking before the parents wake up.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, oddly enough, I don't think we ever really did stockings. I think we just kind of stuck to the boxes and the bags. I think
my family only did stockings for that reason.
Yeah. I think my mom likes to reuse like gift packaging, and she doesn't like to like wash the stockings and stuff. So maybe that's the
That's
reason
fair.
why. I don't know.
I don't think my parents washed our stockings either. Although there was one year where, because they said sometimes the stockings would have like small wrapped presents in it too. And they'd be like, so anything on that couch is fair game. It's like all part of the stocking. And then one year they decided to put like my main gift on the couch. And so I opened it up without them there, and I felt so bad because they're like, that was fucking huge. Like, why would you open that up? And I was like, you sat on the couch. And I still feel guilty about that to this day.
Yo, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Number 2, my number 2. I don't know why America is obsessed with this particular meat source. It's so overrated for 2 different holidays. So we never do it. Never, the Incanons never eat turkey. I know it's more like ham is supposed to be like a Christmas thing, but like we don't even do.
Yeah, ham is worse than turkey, so why would you?
I don't know. Yeah, so so we like to stick to beefs. We like to stick to. So one time we did fried chicken, homemade fried chicken. That was great.
That's a big Japanese tradition. Apparently, they always have fried chicken, especially KFC on Christmas.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Asian KFC is freaking
True.
bomb. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. We did that shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner one time. That was great. Yeah. No turkey on either holiday. Yes.
Nice. I'm trying to think. We don't usually have like a set food. I feel like sometimes we do turkey, sometimes we mix it up. This year, my girlfriend and I are cooking like a 5-course meal. We're just going to go hard on that, and I'm hyped. So great pick. Number 2, speaking of opening Christmas gifts early, my number 2 is also on that train, where on Christmas Eve, we get to open one present, and without fail, it's always pajamas, but we always pretend like it's not. We're always like shaking it, wondering what it is. It is a very sarcastic occasion. Lots of dumb jokes are made, but it's always inevitably pajamas. And we always just pretend to be surprised for some reason.
Do you do it like sarcastically?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Like my parents are like, okay, you can open one gift. Here it is. And I'm like, oh, I wonder. And I'm like, shake it, try to guess what it is.
Well, my mom
It's a
does,
good time.
does something similar. It's not pajamas, but like she'll always go like, guys, money was really tight and I'm sorry we couldn't buy you anything. Like, what the hell are you doing? You do this every year. Like,
It's good to have those traditions.
yeah. That's not my number 1 though.
Yeah.
My number 1 is probably the one that's been the most consistent every single year, because I think it kind of was done first out of necessity, because we got back from a Christmas Eve party at like 11:40 p.m. It was like all the way in Orange County, which is like an hour and 40 for us without traffic, and yeah, like we get back at home and we're like, ugh, I'm not. We're all like, I was still, my brother and I were still small, but like we were too like awake to go to sleep, but we were too tired to do anything or watch a movie. So we are like, let's just open presents now. And so every time it's midnight after Christmas Eve, we open presents then, and then we just
that's awesome.
yeah. So and then we just drink wine or champagne, and then that helps us go to sleep. And yeah,
Damn,
yeah,
that's
we
super
always,
cool.
yeah. We always go to bed at like 2 a.m. and wake up at noon on Christmas. It's pretty great.
Yeah, honestly, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
My number one is also the longest running on my list. Something that I thought way more families do, but apparently not. My girlfriend had never even heard of this. But it's Christmas crackers.
Okay.
The little things you pull, they explode. There's like toys and a shitty crown. Everybody has to go around the table and read their joke. And it's just a good time. There's like a little joke inside always.
Oh.
And it's just a good time. So every Christmas dinner, we always start with that. Inevitably, toys fly into people's food, and like it just kind of gets everywhere. But it's a good time. And then you have to wear your crown for the entirety of dinner. That's always a rule too.
Hell yeah.
And so we're just with the shittiest, loosest fitting paper crowns that keep going over your eyes. So Christmas crackers are my number one.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I'm laughing in advance at your girlfriend who's gonna have her super fancy meal just have like action figures and shit in it.
Yeah, just like a parachute army man just falling in it. Slowly, mind you.
Yeah.
My mom would even like bring them if we were doing like Christmas in Canada or like meeting the family somewhere abroad. She would still like pack them in her suitcase and like bring Christmas crackers with her.
So good.
That's just how Canadian she is.
Hell yeah, dude. So are you guys going to Sacramento, or are they coming to you?
They're coming here because I only have Christmas Day off. I have to work the entire rest of the week. Yeah, but at least I get that day off. They only gave it to me because we have some football game that's on our channel.
Yeah.
And so we just don't have to have any news, but I'll take what I can get, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Are you gonna?
Shall we?
Is there anything you're gonna do differently this year? Or anything you're gonna?
Besides the food, I don't think so. We're definitely doing Christmas crackers.
Sure.
We might not do the Christmas Eve pajamas because I think I work at night the night before. And so we'll see. But yeah, the alcoholism will stay true. Probably won't dance around like the Christmas child. I might open the stocking or two. We'll see.
Yeah, nice. Just your wholesome Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah, just the classics.
The classics. Cool.
Yeah.
Shall we jump into our Christmas movies?
I think we shall. And before we see what our boy Kevin is up to, guess what time it is? I know you never see this coming, ever, at all. Not even once.
No.
But it's time for Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies that we're watching because it's funny and it makes him laugh and stuff. I know.
What?
I know. Calm down. This installment does not come from Quinn Chow. I looked up both of these movies and all 972 of his reviews. Not in there. And it took a while because I had to keep hitting load more, like a fucking 50 times, and it wasn't worth it. But we do have a great review from a man named Pissed Off. who gave it a 1 out of 10, and it's PIST, by the way, saying bad, really bad. This has got to be one of the worst pieces of crap. He censored out crap. I appreciate that. Ever put on film. Okay, the first one wasn't bad, but the violence in this goes to a Bug Bunny G level rated stupid. The robbers take a little too much from this kid. The robbers take a little too much from this kid. Ever heard of a gun? And come on, a 12-year-old kid dressed in expensive yuppie clothing walking around Central Park at night and not being mugged? I don't think so. Then there's the lame happy odd stranger side plot. This is just bad.
He really lived up to his own name.
Yeah, he's a little pissed off. Yeah, we're talking Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, everybody's favorite Home Alone sequel. I like it. I think it's a pretty good, effective sequel.
Yeah.
Where the differences lie in the first and second one, for me at least. The first one, all I really remember about it is like the traps and building the traps and the traps being set off. Like that's just Home Alone 1 for me.
Right.
But Home Alone 2, I barely even remember all the traps when I was rewatching this. I just remember Kevin fucking around in New York. And I like that. I think they play on the expectations of a sequel in a nice way. Because two things are going to happen. One, Kevin's going to get left alone. And two, he's going to fuck up the two robbers with little Rube Goldberg machine type violence.
Yeah.
So both of those are coming, but they like put off leaving Kevin. They like hint at it. They're like, oh, maybe we lost him, maybe we didn't. They kind of play with your expectations, which is nice. And they kind of delay the traps, so it's pretty satisfying conclusion to the end of the movie too. Besides that, it's kind of just light fluff all around. You don't get any extra like cinematography out of director Christopher Columbus. You don't get any real flair for most of the movie. There is the side plot with Pigeon Lady, who when came on screen, I was like, oh yeah, Pigeon Lady, because I just forgot about her entirely. Yeah. I do like her character and how her and Kevin kind of help each other in a lost and lonely world. And I think it's very sweet. I think performances are fine. Macaulay Culkin, always going to kill it. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are fantastic. Tim Curry is a national treasure, and I'll always like everything he does. Yeah. And Catherine O'Hara does a great job screaming. And then also shout out to Brenda Fricker for being the Pigeon Lady. But in total, it's a good, light, fluffy movie. Is it the most Christmassy Christmas movie? Absolutely not. But is it an enjoyable watch? Yeah. And so I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Nice. I wondered why you went ahead and chose this over the first one. Because
I hadn't seen it more recently, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember both pretty well from the first time that I saw them, and I've seen them both a couple times. I agree that the traps are always the best part about the Home Alone movies. A lot of critics bashed them initially when they first came out because they thought the traps were so sickening and so...
Yeah, they are hard to watch. It is just attempted murder, to be fair.
Yeah. But I kind of like that. I think it's just because, I watched Gladiator when I was 4. Like, I don't really care. Like, I 5, I don't know. But yeah, like, to me, like, they're trying to murder a child, and it looks funny. Like the stunts are really really well executed, and they feel painful. Like you can hear, like, even though there's no Bone Country sound, yeah, the brick, like it happens 4 times, and every time I'm like, ooh, yeah, it's great. And I think that's kind of an interesting little precursor to Chris Columbus's like dark humor in the Harry Potter movies as well. And so I think that's like the stuff that critics bashed about it in the early days. I think that's actually the main strength of Home Alone and Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. I think maybe the weaknesses of Home Alone 2: Lost in New York is, to me, it feels that the beats feel very similar to the first one, and they happen at similar points. And I think I actually feel the opposite about Pigeon Lady, because I like the old neighbor better in Home Alone, and I think he's set up better because he's like a mythical thing to his siblings. But when he comes in to save Kevin, I feel like it's more satisfying. And the Pigeon Lady is like, she's cool, and she like has she like it's a cool character on paper, but I just don't feel that same like connection, you know. And what else? Another thing I liked about the first one is that all the traps were very like kind of organic. Like, you could, like, there's this shot where he goes up to the attic and he has to grab something and go back downstairs, and in that like little pan you see every single ingredient for every single trap that he's going to do later on in the movie. So it really feels like, okay, he knows what he's it's not that he knows what he's doing, but he like has it's like a little more plausible, like, and I buy into it a little bit more. And but I will say a couple of things that Home Alone 2 does better. I think I like that it takes the stunts even farther and takes the traps makes the traps even more painful. And I like that I think the thing with the gangster is even better than the first one. The get down on your knees and tell me you love me. I thought that was,
I love you.
that was great. The first one does not have Tim Curry, so that's even better. Or what's his name? Rob Schneider is actually trying in this one. I like that.
Yeah. He's not trying to look at children's feet, which is always a plus.
Yep. Was Kieran Culkin in the first one? I don't remember.
I don't know. I would have to look it up.
He's actually my favorite Culkin. Hot take. But I like that he's in this movie. Yeah, I'll give it a flat 7. I think it's not a superior sequel, but
No.
it's good enough, and yeah, I'll watch it again in like 7 years.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. It'd been about 7 years, so I was like, fuck it. Home Alone 2: Lost in New York.
Yeah.
We could start with the Pigeon Lady, since it's divisive. I think I like her because she is one of the only different things about this movie compared to the original. She's a person that Kevin helps instead of like vice versa, which she does offer some guidance to him. It's not a totally one-sided relationship. And so I think I mostly like it for that difference. But I also like that she makes him realize that, like, hey, like, you don't have to be alone to enjoy yourself. Like, you can open up and let people in. And I think it's nice because they both need to hear that. and I think it's just a sweet moment. Also, she looks remarkably like the daughter in A Quiet Place, and I think that's funny. And so, so bonus points there. But yeah, did you want to go in a little deeper on Pigeon Lady?
Um, no, I don't agree. I don't disagree with that part of it. It's just I think it could have been set up better than and I think the scene they where they're watching over the orchestra, even though it's a little bit sweet, like it goes on for too long and it just kind of dumps all the information about her in one little thing. Yeah, like I like the idea of Kevin trying to like redeem all the bad stuff that he did um, with helping one person. I think that's cool, but I just think it could have been set up better. And if it had been set up better, I would have cared about it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of set up better, I'm shocked they didn't do the traps and like that's part of the film in the toy store that they're trying to rob. It would have been so good. It would have been so much more material, a little more Christmassy. And every time I watch it, I'm disappointed that they don't. But the old dilapidated house is still a pretty good setup for it.
Right.
I'm trying to think of my favorite trap. I didn't write it down. But that's a heads up to you to start thinking if you don't got one already.
I got one.
Yeah. I think mine might be just the hole in the ground after Marv finally gets in, because there's the worst line in the movie where he falls on his ass, his back is for sure broken, and he looks up and he just goes, "Wow, what a hole." And for some reason, I love that.
Yeah, man.
But do you have a favorite trap in the movie?
It's the electrocution, because it's the one that is the most
The classic.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, that's like he's dead. Like that's a horrible thing to do to a person. But what I love about it is like when Kevin finally hits the off switch and he like falls down, he makes this noise that it's like so like and it's been in my brain for some reason for like you know however long years. Like I was like, oh my god, that's horrible, but I love it. He turns into a skeleton too.
A classic move. Yeah, the slapstick humor in it, it's not going to be for everyone. And a lot of the bad reviews that I saw scrolling for my poorly written review were about that. They're like, "Ugh, slapstick is dumb and childish. I'll just go watch the Three Stooges if I want to see people get bonked in the head."
Right.
Which, like, no knock to them, but I like a little bit of flavor, a little bit of creativity, and and I want to see people get hit in the head with bricks. But I do like the two wet bandits. Both have kind of like distinct personalities, and they kind of are like clowning characters in a way. Like they truly are just clowns, and they do owe a lot to the Three Stooges. You can kind of tell that personality, especially when they're getting hit. But I think Marv, the tall one, is always just the dumb one who gets kind of the brunt of most of it.
Right.
And then Joe Pesci's character always is outsmarted when he thinks he's won, and that's kind of when he always gets injured. And so like the latter is a good example of that. And so I like that they're different, because you get different jokes out of both of them, and they have different distinct personalities that complement each other. Not that there's any real deep character development at all. Like you're not gonna feel for these characters at any point in this movie. but it makes the gags have a little bit of variation amongst them, and I like that. That's all I got. Did you want to speak on the two clowns?
They're my favorite part of the movie, honestly. Like, I think another critique that I had that I forgot to mention in the beginning is that like the movie takes so long to set up the conflict with them and Kevin. I think it's like 80 minutes in that we start them butting heads. I feel like the movie could have used like another rewrite where instead of just Kevin kind of wandering, even though I like the wandering a little bit, like if they had like kind of set the whole movie up to be like a grudge match, like a rematch against the two parties, I think that would have been a lot more compelling. I think it would have made the finale punch even harder. And I think every time they're on screen with Kevin, that's Home Alone to me. And so even though I love Tim Curry, of course, like I'm a fan of him trying to scramble and figure out what the hell is going on with this kid. I think it distracts from my favorite part about the film. I think Daniel Stern is brilliant in this role. His other roles, but but
I don't know if I could name a single other David Stern movie.
He did City Slickers, which he's also amazing in.
Okay.
And that's all I can think of. He did. I remember seeing him like a couple years. It was just a couple years ago. He did a sequel to A Christmas Story, and it went like straight to DVD.
Yeah. Did you know they made a new Home Alone this year?
Yeah.
With the chubby kid from Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it honestly because I like the.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but I'm okay with it existing, I guess.
Yeah, and I like the two actors who play the robbers, and I like that they made them a couple too. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well.
Maybe I should have picked it.
Yeah, and I think what keeps the movie out of the 5 and 6 range, which is like average for me, average to positive average, I think is Joe Pesci for sure. He's a legend for a reason. I don't think he's ever given a bad performance in his life, and I think he knows exactly what kind of movie he's in. And he takes all of his frustration at not being able to curse, and he just takes it all out into his face, and I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. The image of his burned head with the beanie like melted onto it, forever burned into my head. I don't know why, but when somebody mentions Joe Pesci, that's the Joe Pesci that like jumps to mind. Not any of the classic roles, but
yeah. No, you're right. Like, Home Alone 1 was my first movie with Joe Pesci, and my dad was like, "Do you know why it's so funny? Why this guy doesn't curse?" And I was like, "No." And so he showed me the "You think I'm funny" scene, and then I was like, "Okay, I get it now. This is great.
That's good." Yeah, it's weird casting, but it's brilliant casting because it just works, and it's great for adult audiences who are watching with their kids because they get to just laugh at a family-friendly Joe Pesci getting this shit kicked in.
Right.
And then there's also the third and longest part of this movie, which is Kevin frolicking around in New York for 2 hours. He does everything that I want to do as a child. He experiences the height of luxury in the pepperoni pizza and a stretch limousine. And you get to watch like rated R movies and eat handmade sundaes and shit. And so I think it was just a fantasy for me as a child to live out this this whole movie, really. Just, I don't know, something struck a chord with me when I was a young babe, watching this because I was like, I want to do all this shit. That looks like fun. I want to go to New York. And so it's just fun to watch. He runs into former President Donald J. Trump, which is wild to see as a brief cameo. Just insane looking back now after everything we've seen. And it's just a good time. It doesn't live up to the original. The fun that he has here doesn't quite make up for what it lacks compared to the original. But it still makes for an entertaining film. And so I enjoy it through and through. No real moments stand out except for some scenes that we'll get into for favorite scenes, because I'm sure it's both of ours, or one of both of ours. But yeah, what are your thoughts on him frolicking around in New York?
Pacing wise, it's not great.
No.
I like that they take their time to set up him being lost in New York. I like that the whole, like, the fake outs with the family, like, oh, he's lost, and then, oh no, he's right there. Oh no, he's lost. Oh no, he's right there. And then they get onto the plane and they've already set up the fact, like, okay, we're not going to be able to sit together because it took me forever to get these tickets. Like, I was like, okay, that's somewhat plausible in my head. Like, if I were the mom, I wouldn't just trust the gate people to keep track of all her children that she's never met.
Absolutely not.
But you gotta do the thing. I like the stuff in the hotel, and I think that's of all the wandering stuff, that's the stuff that's up there for me. And I like the scene with him and Mr. Duncan. I think is really wholesome and really nice, and like a good thing to show kids on Christmas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, not once does he actually get lost in New York. He knows exactly where he is constantly, which is crazy for like a 10-year-old boy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. The hotel stuff is pretty much where I like it the most. I do like him wandering through Central Park at night and how scary they make it, at least for children. Everybody's at like super low angles and kind of like reaching out at you. And so when I was watching as like a 5-year-old or whenever I first watched this movie, I was like, ooh, scary. And then subverting that with Pigeon Lady being kind of a tight homie is cool. And so I think that's why it stood out to me. You want to do favorite scenes? You got anything else you want to talk about?
No.
All right, kick us off.
Cool. Yeah, the get down on your knees and tell me you love me is for sure up there. Come on, you can do better than that. And then they all look at each other, and they just make a chorus.
Yep.
I love I love just also watching that movie because they're so unnecessarily violent and schlocky, but that's kind of what old gangster movies were back in the day.
Yeah.
I love that they're called angels with dirtier. It's called angels with even dirtier souls. Yeah. And I'm like, because have you ever seen Angels with Dirty Faces?
No.
It's such a serious movie.
Oh, really?
So the fact that they're even like paying homage to that movie is like, it's like perfect. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, because it's such a sad like gangster tragedy, and then they're making fun of it with Angels with Dirty Souls. Yeah, there's that. There's of course the climax where he finally encounters them in the dilapidated house. I think the way they enter the house is so much fun. Even just the simple things of like, soap on a ladder, like the sound effect of Joe Pesci's character hitting the ground is great. It's so good. the 8 different substances that that would give lung cancer to Marv that he gets just like absolutely covered in are all great. And yeah, I love that it's a constant like getting out of the hole, going back into the hole, getting out of the hole, going back into the hole. I love that about
And what a hole it is.
yeah. And I love my favorite edit in the movie for sure is the dissolve from the Grinch to Tim Curry smiling. I think that's
Yep.
absolutely brilliant. I think that's the edit of the decade for sure.
Real.
Sorry, rest of 1990s. That's the one. Yeah.
Imagine working your whole life to be an editor and work on a classic film, only to have your thunder taken by Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Sorry, Boogie Nights.
Sorry, Pulp Fiction.
And Goodfellas.
And Goodfellas. Yeah, I mean, those are also my top of the pops. The get on your knees, tell me you love me is probably my favorite scene in the movie, even including that breaking and entering and trap scene. It's just hilarious. I even saw you smooching with Cliff, and they all look at Cliff as fantastic, and it gets me every single time.
I already just forgot about it.
Just start to finish. It's a beautiful setup because you don't expect it. Obviously, once you've seen the movie once or have heard about it, like it's already kind of spoiled what happens. But it's a good setup and a fantastic payoff, and I think it's hilarious every time. Obviously the breaking and entering and traps is kind of the meat and potatoes of Home Alone, so it's got to be in the top scenes. But I also really like the reveal that Kevin is missing with the passing the bag down. It's like, oh, Kevin's not here. Kevin's not here. Kevin's not here. Because it's so dumb and ridiculous and delightful. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my favorite scenes. I do like, also, I'll give a shout out to the Duncan scene in the toy store, and when they go back to Pigeon Lady's house, and she's just a big, like, classical music fan, and is just kind of vibing with our birds. It's just cool. It's just sweet. It's not up there with the others, but it barely scratches its way into the list.
Right. I agree.
That's it. Let's do it. Before we do, though, I gotcha. Another surprise installment of Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies we're watching because it's funny and it makes him laugh and stuff. This one, it's long, so if you need to take a bathroom break or something, feel free to do so now. It is a very pretentious review, and I like it a lot. So this one comes from Cine Analyst, who gave it a 3 out of 10 and called it Santa Schmaltz.
Oh.
A demythological origin story of Santa Claus just in time for Christmas. Finally, a story about how American capitalism and British class fears turned an agrarian seasonal occupation of gorging and reveling into a family-oriented tradition of gift-giving money to retailers in exchange for debt and junky toys, and then blaming it all on a weird white bearded guy in the sky made up by Coca-Cola. Oh wait, that's not what Klaus is about. Again, a mythological, supposedly partially demythologicalized story full of copious amounts of perniculously recycled, ridiculously trite schmaltz. Netflix enters a time-honored Hollywood practice of giving of gift-giving lousy Christmas movies in exchange for our money. From Miracle on 34th Street to the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, we keep receiving these stupid Santa movies. I prefer a simpler past when the Santa Claus 1989 or 1998, was a 1-minute film made to experiment with photographic multiple exposures. Now, Zara Larsson's mawkish and visible music video montage takes up more time than in Klaus, and without even an innovative effect. Why, movie critics, who by definition one would think are supposedly supposed to think critically and have seen this cinematic emotional blackmail time and time again, turn into saps for the seasonal sentimentalism is rather perplexing, though it holds a 93% certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes as of this posting. I speculate that it's for the same reason Santa Claus and Modern Christmas exist in the imaginations at all, because they're so thoroughly stamped upon and become ingrained in the rituals of modern Western society. It's interesting, too, that Netflix released Klaus, as the picture employs largely antiquated animation in the digital age to mythologicalize the same snail mail that was the backbone of the original company's DVD rental business. That, of course, has since changed, with Netflix sliding down our chimneys through seemingly ethereal streaming. Even the postman sits expectantly in his living room chair. Plus, they give us the gift of their own junk now. A true act of goodwill, surely. Bah humbug.
Bah humbug indeed to the cine-analyst.
Yeah, who hurt him?
I know. All his demons just came out onto this movie, man.
For
this is
real.
crazy.
God, I also skipped a whole paragraph too, because when I was reading it, it was dragging on.
Oh man, I pretty much disagree with him on every point.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the folks at home, if you thought I was pretentious, go follow Cine-Analyst on
IMDb.
Oh man, that was crazy. I've never used the word pernicious in a film review. Stupid.
About a children's movie about Santa Claus.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he just goes in too hard.
Yeah.
He needs a hug.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be like a lot of imperfections when you deal with movies and Santa Claus, because it's, you know, we've the whole idea of Santa is kind of is a little bit dumb, and I think it's very hard to come up with something original for a Christmas movie for anybody. And you know, I look back at some of the old classics, like you know, Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, which I don't really like that much. I've seen every single installment of it, and they all kind of are whatever. I actually like it better when Santas are like deeply flawed and like have like are presented more realistically, like the mall Santa in A Christmas Story. Ho ho ho! Like with the freaking fisheye lens. I actually appreciate that Santa more than that. But I think this approach to the Santa Claus myth is actually really nice and really wholesome. It got me choked up a couple times. It's not a perfect movie. I think the last act is probably the most predictable, and so I think they got kind of lazy with the narration. I feel the opposite towards Cine-Analyst's feelings. I think the fact that they went for more traditional animation style is what makes the movie better than other animation movies of its day. I, you know, as much as I like Toy Story 4, it's a toss up for me which one deserved for the Academy Award, because the animation here is stunning, from start to finish, and you can and there are some scenes where it's like I really don't know how they did that. The fact that it's drawn, but it's like it still has this look like as if it was digital. Yeah, I think the character of Jesper is sometimes pretty insufferable for a little too long, but I think his redemption as a character is a little more organic. It feels like the way that the three amigos are kind of redeemed, where they, you know, they're looking down on on the locals, and they're but then they learn to like fully embrace them and acknowledge that they're the messed up ones, not the other people. I think that's a really good aspect of it, and I think it's a great lesson for kids to learn as well. Like, you know, this movie shouldn't exist to like help kids believe in Santa. It should learn it exists to help kids learn selflessness and learn that the act of giving is enough for Christmas, and so I like it a lot. I'll give it a 7.7. I can imagine it going higher as we go along, but yeah, it's mostly just the last like 15 minutes that put me off. But I also love the voice acting as well. I think J.K. Simmons kills it, Rashida Jones kills it, Jason Schwartzman kills it, as always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretty much am in agreement with everything you said. I like it for all the same reasons. I think it does a great job making a unique Christmas story, and that's something I haven't seen in a very long time, really. Like, yeah. It's been too long. Every Christmas story is like, I'm in love now and I have to get home for Christmas. I'm poor and I have to get home for Christmas. That's it.
Yeah.
Or child really wants toy. Those are the three Christmas movies. And so doing something different is always fun and exciting and new. So I respect it a lot for that. The animation is gorgeous. I still haven't seen Toy Story 4, but I would give this one an Oscar. I think it's a beautiful film. I think it's stunning. It's got a unique style that's its own but familiar enough to like already have a nostalgic feel to it. And so I like it a lot for that. All the performances are fantastic, like you mentioned. Even the insufferable Jasper, who not a big fan of him for the first act of the movie. Right. But as he comes along, I think this film peaks in its second act.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike the beginning or the end. Although I'm with you, I think the last 15 minutes could have used some work. I do think the voiceover work was a little lazy-ish, but it also, like, that's kind of just Christmas movies too. Like, right. You kind of have to just chalk it up to that at some point. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of heart in it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it has some real emotion, some real impact. And I think that, like you said, teaching children to be good instead of being like, hey, do it for the toys, says a lot. It's like the real magic of Christmas is in the caring that we have for each other, which is tacky, but it's effective, and it's effectively done in this movie. I give it a 7.5 too. I give it the same score as Home Alone 2, but for very different reasons. Yeah. If I were to sit down and watch one of them for like an actual Christmas movie, I would pick Klaus. But like, right.
I
got the same amount of enjoyment out of both of them, so I'm giving them the same score.
Yeah, I definitely want to show this to my family if it's my turn to pick on Christmas. I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
I definitely want them to see this one because
Mhm.
it's really really cool. I think for me
Yeah.
the reason why the narration felt weird was like, yeah, I get that it's a Christmas movie trope, but like the storytelling is so good in the
Yeah.
first,
You just don't
like,
need it.
yeah, like, so it felt like, I don't know, like a step down.
Yeah.
But
It feels like they watched The Grinch and they're like, oh, yeah, we have to do that. Not
right,
like this would help our movie.
yeah, I agree. Um, but yeah, I agree that it peaks in the second act, like this, because the second act is outstanding. Like,
Hmm.
just seeing the slow change in Jesper's expression, like that's kind of the animation in the action is really great, and the animation in the art direction and the movement is really amazing. But like seeing his demeanor change and seeing his
Hmm.
posture change, that is where it got me. I was like, oh my god, man, they went that
Yeah.
extra mile, that extra design mile, and it worked so well. And you could see the layers uh, of his ego and um, his pretentiousness and his privilege just kind of slowly peeling away as he embraces this role that was kind of forced onto him. Um, and I also love Klaus as a character as well. Like,
Hmm.
I like that he's not the main character, even though he's the titular character. I like that we're kind of slowly getting to know him, and through Jesper, we're Jesper needs to learn to be a little more selfless before he can help his friend and before he can accept his friend's help. And I like the friendship between them. I like that it's not kind of like the banter's not overdone. I see a lot of this in Christmas buddy movies where they constantly like
Yeah.
they try to go for Lethal Weapon and it's not Lethal Weapon, so it sucks.
Yo.
But here they don't overdo it. Like, it's like, okay,
Mhm.
these two just have a job to do and they're just going to do their job.
Yeah.
Um,
Klaus doesn't even talk for like more than half of his screen time.
right? Yeah,
Like
it's
it's
great.
weird when he starts saying full sentences.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and Alva as well. Like, I
Hmm.
liked her development. I got a little choked up when she like reached into the jar of money. I was like, yes, for the children. It was great. It's so wholesome and so nice.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I agree. The main cast is outstanding. What did you think about the side characters though? Like a lot of like the villains and the kids and
Yeah.
the village the villagers in general, the Smearenbergians.
I like them. I think they're great. The initial reveal of kind of what's wrong with this town with the bell is fantastic and confusing, and think it sets up those characters pretty well. Um, the only thing that leaves a sour taste in my mouth is the last part of the movie, kind of just focusing too hard on them and not really as hard on like the relationship between Jesper, Alva, and Klaus.
Mm,
Because I would have liked to see them, maybe the townspeople, like have a minor conflict with them, but really like put it on Jesper to convince people like, hey, I'm here for the right reasons, dog, like we're good. um I would have liked that. But besides that, I think the townspeople are fantastic. They're funny. um some of the quips at each other, like the dude always asking questions is kind of funny. I didn't think there was a lot of humor that serviced an older crowd watching this. But moments like that still made me laugh. Or like, I don't know how we never beat you guys. Like, you're just fucking stupid. Is also great. The little, I don't, they don't say like what she's speaking, but it's something Nordic. Um,
Sami.
Mordig, was it Sami?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. So
indigenous Scandinavian.
yeah, She's fantastic. I loved that character, and I love that they brought like her whole like clan with her.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's very, very wholesome. It has like truly like no matter, even if you're an outsider for this weird community or any other community, like doing good things is doing good things. So like, who cares? And I think that's fantastic. I loved that character and that arc especially, especially how it ties in with Alva and the rest of it. I thought it was beautifully done. Yeah, so I liked the side characters mostly. I just didn't like the ending plot choices with those characters.
Yeah, I would have liked more follow through. I agree. I would have liked more follow through on the kids who initially encountered Klaus's gifts.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
just kind of get pushed to the side.
Right. Like as soon as they turn nice, the movie's done with them. And I would have liked to see like a little bit more conflict.
Maybe the like the kind, because you watch the rumor of Klaus and like the Santa Claus myth kind of get started, but you don't see the kindness grow in the same way. And it would have been cool to have like some sort of parallel there, I think.
Yeah. I do like the two neighbors and like how they like the really big lady and the really like the small guy with the big hat. I like them a lot, for sure, and I think you see them near the end, and they've gotten together too. But yeah, I agree. I think I forget how they say her name. Margu, I think is how you say it.
I think so.
Yeah, she's one of the highlights of the movie for me for sure because, she reminds me of there was this one time where I went to Mexico and I was helping out at this battered women's shelter where they were allowed to bring their children as well. Some of the children were even straight up orphans; they didn't even have moms there. And I didn't speak and this was in Mexico. I didn't speak a single thing of Spanish.
Yeah.
I knew yes.
Despite being Mexican.
Despite, I only knew yes or no, and one of those two Spanish words is no. But I still, despite that language barrier, it's still easy to connect with the kids with like their bicycles or their toys or their like just like playing soccer with them, and so that was a really cool thing. I think the way that relationship played out and the way the mutual like respect was built between the two people, I think was really, it felt really organic and really like genuine. Like okay, this is really something that would happen, or this is really something that happens realistically, I think. And the scene where he finally like chooses like okay kid, you win, and then they go to translate with Alpha, I think is really beautiful. I thought that was cool.
Absolutely. She was her like character arc and just everything she did for Jesper and Alva, like personally and kind of mentally, is just fantastic. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie, easily.
Hell yeah. What'd you think of Norm?
Norm?
Yeah.
He's great. He's always going to be great, dude. It was the perfect casting for that character, I think.
Right.
And the perfect role for Norm. Once I heard his voice, I was like, fuck. Now I'm going to get emotional during this movie.
Right.
But yeah, he's so snarky and quick-witted. I mentioned that there wasn't a lot of humor for the adults in the theater in this movie, but he gives almost all of it. He's just fantastic all around. You side with him because you hate Jesper in the beginning, and then when he switches sides, it's exactly when the audience switches sides. Like, they nail that paradigm super well. And so you just are on Norm's side the whole time. And then him being kind of the catalyst for Jesper's dad realizing that Jesper's moved on and he has a new home is beautiful. And I think it's fantastic all around. Another one of my favorite characters easily.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. You mentioned loving the animation. Were there particular scenes or sequences that you thought were like next level?
I mean, you already mentioned the like posture and kind of body language of the characters being top notch. I agree, but the two things that also blew me away was one, just the landscapes, having that like drawn aspect when they first get to Smearsburg is beautiful. It's so gorgeous and it's haunting and it's kind of creepy and unsettling, and it's perfectly executed. And then one thing that always blows me away is if animation can get water right, I'm always blown away. And so getting that and like little snow particles in the wind right, top notch. The part where like Klaus follows the like wind blown powdered snow to his front door is a beautiful scene, and it's so beautifully executed that like I was sold immediately once I saw how they were able to animate that snow. So that's what blew my mind.
Hell yeah, yeah, that's so good. I was like a little bit rolling my eyes at first because I was like, oh, it's destiny calling him to Jesper, really? Like destiny in the wind, really? Because I had just played the shit out of Ghost of Tsushima, and like the wind is the main metaphor there. But when you realize like, oh no, it's the spirit of his wife, and I was like, oh shit, hell yeah. That's so good. That's so good.
His wife his arc with the wife is just fantastic too. Like it's so easy to have like a widow be tacky, be like kind of ham-fisted and like little too built up for emotion. And there are moments where it's a little too built up for emotion in this movie. Some of the soundtrack choices at the end of the film, but but I think it's super well executed. You buy into, oh, this man is a recluse because of the loss that he's been through. He doesn't open up to people because of this loss, and I think you see it in the character before you know what happens. And I think that that's why it's so believable and so well executed. And you really feel for Klaus.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's called Invisible by Zara Larsson, and I do not like it.
Terrible. Literally dropped the score of this movie maybe 2 points immediately.
Yeah, because the score itself is really good. I feel like if they had just let the guy's name is Alfonso Gonzalez Aguilar. I don't know like Spanish talent that well, but yeah, like he was great in the scenes that they used, just pure score. And I feel like had the ending shown a little, had the filmmaker shown more restraint in the ending and just let the score speak for itself, let Klaus's theme, let Jesper's theme kind of mix together, I think that would have been a lot better.
Absolutely. It literally is. I like got up and walked out of the room at first because I was like, they ruined such a good thing with just one song choice.
Yeah, and I think they play it twice, right?
They do. It's bad. Oh God, it's bad.
Yeah, I've been watching La Casa de Papel, and on which is also a Netflix property, and I think I don't know if I'm stereotyping, but it seems to be like a common Spain thing, to use songs and to do whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. It was a bad choice. I'm glad that you weren't like a big fan of it, because it was my least favorite part of the movie was that song.
Right. And it's one of those that gets stuck in your head too. Yeah, definitely it's for sure like the main thing keeping it out of the 8 range.
Easily.
But still, I enjoy this film, and I want you, and I hope you guys check it out if you haven't already, or that you watch it again this Christmas if you have. Yeah. Shall we move on to favorite scenes?
Let's do it.
All right, kick us off.
All right. There weren't a ton of scenes that really like blew me away.
Right.
This movie really kind of excels in its second act, obviously, and kind of its cohesion of those scenes, I guess, and just how they build on each other. But there were a few that stood out. The initial arrival into the town, like I mentioned, and the ringing of the war bell was fantastic. I loved that. The first time they deliver a present to the house is fantastic. But I think it's best paired with the first time he tries to scam a child and gets run out. Both of those are great, especially in conjunction with each other. The scene where Morgu gets her gift is top notch. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous, and I love it. That part is absolutely fantastic. And then probably Alva's introduction, where she's just kind of real badass and snarky, is absolutely fantastic. Just like people come in, they buy fish, and they leave. is just great.
Yeah.
I think those would all be my top. Also, I actually really love the introduction of Klaus too.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I haven't really been talking about Klaus enough. Character's fantastic. J.K. Simmons is perfect casting for it. Yeah, those are my top of the pops.
I agree. I think, Alva's introduction is amazing. I love that in a kid's movie they weren't shy about like showing someone butchering a fish. I thought that was great. I thought that was so good. And the fillets
especially
were perfect.
in front of children too, is great.
So good. I love the little. It's so cheesy and so like overdone in movies, but I loved it so much when the goth Hulk fell in love with the ginger Hulk.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. I thought that was so much fun.
It was good.
Because I was not expecting it at all. I was not expecting it at all, and they somehow pulled it off. I was like, oh my god, this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
And then getting married at the end.
It's pretty great.
There's that. I also love the initial battle. I think having your figures come out of the fog and stuff is really, really fun and mysterious and creepy and cool. And seeing everyone fight is like I was like, ouch! Like this is really interesting because I had it's really like hard to predict this movie before the ending. Like I and that's the one thing that I really appreciated about it. I think finding finding the toys in the first place and seeing the shop and like kind of realizing what kind of movie this is, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm so in. I'm so in. I love seeing Klaus for the first time in the red thing and then kind of laughing at him. I think that was great. I love the decoy sled. I thought that was brilliant. Introduction of Klaus was good. Klaus becoming Santa was good, and kind of letting the spirit take him. But yeah, I think it's no contest. I think Margot getting the sled is for sure the best scene in the movie, in my opinion. They did the way you kind of you literally see the light in Jesper's eyes, and that's kind of the scene that really takes over, and even just the build up to it, like seeing them work on the sled together and seeing Klaus like teaching him how to make toys. I thought that was amazing. And I also love the little sequence of them like taking all the classic Santa tropes and like showing Jesper go through it. Like this is actually like really annoying for him.
Stealing a cookie and
Stealing the cookies and like going down the chimney just because like, and he hates the fact that he has to go down the chimney. I love that about it.
That was very clever.
Yeah.
I do like that they turned Klaus into the real Santa.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of this movie, I was like, this is kind of telling kids Santa's not real. And that's kind of a big no-no for Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But they pulled it back at the end. And so I did like that. I was worried for the little kids at home having this ruin some shit for them. It's just a man at the post office.
Oh man. Yeah, did your parents like let you do the Santa thing when you were
Yeah, once I found a bunch of presents in the back of their car, I was like, okay, I kind of smell what's going on here. Because we would always look for our presents, and we've found them a lot. I'm sorry, parents, if you're listening. Spoiler, the suitcase under your bed was not a great hiding spot. And so once we started finding it, we kind of knew it was happening, but both my sister and I pretended to still believe because it made our parents happy. And so we like both just agreed. We're like, yeah, we'll still go with it for a while. And so it ended up being real wholesome.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember any Christmases before kindergarten, but I remember asking my mom, like on the way to kindergarten, I was like, so is Santa gonna come over? And she was like, no, Santa's not real. It's just a guy named, and like it was so casual. She was like, it's just a guy named Saint Nicholas who did a lot of cool stuff, and like people turned him into and so people made up stories about him. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I think I ruined Santa for so many classmates.
Oh,
because
I'm sure.
I remember my
People
friend
probably hated you.
I remember my friend being like 9 years old and still believing in Santa, and I was like, I feel kind of bad that I just said that Santa Claus is not real. I was like,
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because it has to be so universally like, okay, we're just gonna let this be a thing. Everybody, parents, play along.
Right. But no, it's okay. Alrighty, folks. That's Klaus. That's Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. You can watch Home Alone 2 on Disney Plus. And you can watch Klaus on Netflix. I believe it is actually the first like original. It was the first Netflix original that was entirely animated. So
nice.
Good times. But yeah,
Was it before Love, Death, Robots?
Yeah, it was early 2019.
Okay. Gotcha.
Late 2019, November. So yes. I think no, because Love, Death. I think what it was saying was first feature, so maybe.
Oh, okay.
Death and Robots.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, because Love, Death, Robots was March of 2019, so it like barely did that. Anyways, yeah. End of the podcast.
Alrighty, folks. Have a happy holidays. Go listen to some fun tunes, watch some good movies, watch some good TV, and we'll see you next year. Because we're going on a break. We love you. Anything you want to say? Bye.